All right, good morning. Welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. I wanted to just go and do a quick episode this morning just because I woke up. I'd gone to bed early because it'd been a long day. On Saturdays, I do work from 4 a.m. until I collapse on book projects and this and that. But I knew there was going to be the set list for the show performed in Vegas last night, the Electric Theater show by Kiss. Kiss back in action properly for the first time since December 2023 on stage in Las Vegas. No makeup, so no proper production because of safety issues, obviously, in a theater and a hotel. You don't get to blow the place up. I went to the Vegas residency in 2014, and similarly, they had to work around those constraints. So initial impressions from that set list, and I'm just going to reference some notes here so that I do try and keep it right. I've tried to put together some, Kiss FAQ factoids, as I always do, for these sorts of things. So going through my notes here, comparing the set list last night with what was done in December 2023 in New York City at the Garden, I think we can immediately discard Detroit Rock City, Shout It Out Loud, Deuce, I Love It Loud, Cold Gin, Lick It Up, Calling Dr. Love, Black Diamond, Do You Love Me, and Rock and Roll All Night. Those songs were performed last night, and they were all performed in New York in 2023. They're all great Kiss songs, aren't they? Come on, these are core Kiss songs. They're a major part of the catalog. I love each and every one of those songs. There's some I prefer hearing live than others, but I won't skip over any of those when they come on my radio. They come into my playlist. They come into my life. And watching the live stream available on YouTube from last night, enjoyed them all. But I don't need to go into depth about any of them. They're the meat and potatoes of the Kiss classics that fuel the Kiss buffet. Yeah, okay, Gene, you're welcome. So what songs from that final Kiss show were sent to room 101 in the gymnasium? They weren't found fit enough to appear in Vegas, perhaps. But you know what? Like I said, I love all Kiss songs, but I am ready for a rest from a few, and some of them are included in this list. So these are the songs from Madison Square Garden that were not performed. War Machine, Heaven's on Fire, Say Yeah, Making Love, Psycho Circus, 100,000 Years, God of Thunder, Love Gun, I Was Made for Loving You, and thankfully Beth. They molested Beth on the lawn during their acoustic set. They just can't keep their hands off her. Stop it. Enough of that. Team Green. The rest, I'm sure one of those songs that they didn't perform was a loss for someone in that audience. Kiss fans, it's like democracy. You're not going to get everyone on the same page about what song should be in a Kiss set list and what song should not be. But I also thought, and this is, again, only my opinion, no inside knowledge, nothing. Say Yeah and Psycho Circus are not the classics that they were thought to be. I've enjoyed those during the end of the road. Again, I'm not going to revise my history. I enjoyed those very much, but I'm glad they're gone for now, hopefully, and they stay gone. I did miss, my one would be 100,000 Years. I always enjoy that, but again, I can go watch that on a 1975 recording and enjoy it far more. But I did enjoy that during the first part of the end of the road before they truncated it and tacked it on to Psycho Circus. That I did not like. Whatever, this isn't about my likes. Okay, yeah, it is. It's my show. During other artists set during the weekend, you would have heard a lot of those songs anyway. Quarantine performed yesterday. Bruce Kulick Band performed immediately prior. I guess you could call him the opening act for Kiss yesterday. Love Gun's absence is a little bit of a shocker. Do I have to do that silly thing? Okay, there you go. All right, 3 sides. Free ad. Maybe no Zipline, no love. Who knows? Maybe it's one that just, needed a break. I'm surprised by that. I don't know if that was done during Soundcheck. Again, I only have 2 songs that were mentioned so far, for me anyway, on the Soundcheck mini show. Now, Soundcheck, they've already Soundchecked. There's no way in hell Kiss ever gets anywhere near a stage without that sound system being dialed in and ready to go. It's simply a paid add-on event, a mini show for, I think it was a certain tier of Vegas guests who got to do it. I've done them in the past. They've always been, I'll say this, they've always been fun. I always enjoyed those mini sets, whether they were acoustic or little electric sets prior. They've been great. And the surprises were there for the Soundcheck performance. We got a post on the FAQ, and I think on Facebook as well, that Parasite and She had been performed during that mini show. But obviously they had mentioned that they weren't going to be doing them during the full show. So those are two very, very nice songs to pull out of the hat. Parasite had basically become a Kruise rarity that was last performed during a Kiss major tour. I think it was End of the Road 2020, and it was in the 2014 Vegas residency. Gene's band did it regularly. Again, core Gene song. Likewise, She was more commonly heard during cruises previously. Prior to that, the Gene Simmons band shows always, generally included She, another core Gene song. I think the last major tour that it was a part of was Kiss Live 35 in 2008/9. So that's the last time she took off her clothes in public on a proper concert stage. So always nice to hear She. That's definitely something that I think qualifies as a deep cut, or at least a rarity, but also a very fun one. And again, going back to 1975, Midnight Special, yeah, very suitable for this year. So glad they did that. They've obviously done some thinking about their song selection, whether they've gone into, my books or Setlist FM analysis or whatever, or their own. And really tried to figure out what songs are what. And that's something I'm doing at the moment. I have a private AI language model on my Mac Mini here that I'm slowly building out with Kiss documents and Setlist to be able to generate that sort of information privately for my own use, so that I can easily research last songs when they're performed quickly at the drop of the hat. So tangent, sorry, I won't bore you with technology. So last night, there were 6 switch-up songs that entered the set. They can't really be described as deep cuts, but they're very much tasty and welcome additions, and they surprised me. I didn't really put much thought into what might be performed because I'm not there. And again, that's a key differentiation between those of us who are Sunday morning quarterbacking it from our sofas and those who were in that room last night feeling the power, the volume, the throbbing bass, and the camaraderie of Electric Communion. Very, very different paradigms, very, very different responses. I'm sitting there watching an emotionless YouTube scream. Well, yeah, it wasn't totally emotionless. I was actually pretty excited watching it, even though it was buffered and pixelated. What you could hear, what you could see. I love Kiss. That hasn't stopped at the End of the Road. I love Kiss. It hasn't stopped with Ace dying. I love Kiss. That hasn't stopped with Peter not being in the band and not being, a part of things. So I love Kiss, so I'm very happy by what I got to see and how I got to consume it. And I hope that the people who were there, and I look forward to those podcasts from especially the influencers who were there, getting an opportunity to really pontificate their perspective of being in the room. I want to hear that emotion. I want to see tears in their eyes. I want to see joy. I want to see excitement. And I hope that was what their experience was. All right, so enough of me. Enough of that, and let's get back to... Oh, hey, you're still here, watching or listening. Why don't you hit that subscribe button or click the like one? And if you want even more, click on the join button on YouTube. Thanks for your support. The 6 kind of surprises last night. So first up, they did each of these in batches of 2. So they do some standard songs. I'll review the whole set at the end if I can find it. But they slot them in as pairs, which I thought was a very nice way of just slotting them into the set. And Take Me. That was a Cruise and a Casino regular in later years, last performed in 2022, but strangely, it had a public appearance at a Tijuana gig in 2016. Why does that make me think of Gilby Clarke? All right, so it's perfectly at home here. It's a great song to have. I think the audience reaction speaks volumes. My reaction here behind the screen also indicates that I think that it was a most welcome addition. Fun song. Well done. Really nothing else to add on that ever. Who doesn't like Take Me? Hotter Than Hell. That was last performed on on Kiss Cruise 11, I think, in 2022 during the Electric Sail Away show there. So similar format, just a different setting, more sun than an indoor theater show, but again, very location appropriate staging. So not that much difference between now and then than it had been. So it had long been a part of Kruise in previous years, and it was last part of, I think, of a full Kiss tour in 2014. Hotter Than Hell is a gem no matter what. Got to Choose was a personal favorite during pre-show mini sets. I think it was 2017 in Reno when they did that one, like kind of electrically for the pre-show, and I really enjoyed it there. That was like my Deuce for the main set. It was like, yes, Got to Choose. I'm happy. Paul delivered. So that one was regularly done during sound checks. Another Cruise appropriate song, last performed on a major tour. I think it was 2012 with Motley. And thereafter, they did do it in public, but only really at special events. So Got to Choose, that's a win. And I'm going to call quite a few of these a win. All right, Watchin You had been a critical part of the Kiss Alive 35 tour and was another Cruise favorite performed here. I think Gene had done this on his with his solo band as well. Again, a very Gene song. This one ties in nicely thematically with the Alive box set about to be released. So, Kiss Alive, Watchin You. Either I'm making too many connections here where there are none, and it's all happenstance, but I like to think that there are connections. So, whatever. Love her all I can. Another song for, I believe, first ever Kiss concert in 1973. Kiss continuity here is always welcome. It's a nice inclusion, again, because of the Dress to Kill album being celebrated this year and recently. And it was one of the key rarities performed during the Rock the Nation tour in 2004. And then it became a Casino and Cruise gem, so super appropriate for the situation and very well considered. Again, I'm probably making too many connections here where none exist, but that's just how my Kiss mind works. Let Me Go Rock and Roll. That's a surprisingly neglected party jam. I know this one divides people. I know when we do our panels, some love it and some love it less loud. So it was last performed, I think, in a full Kiss concert in Japan in 2019, and those odd end of the road shows that I think were thrown together pretty rapidly. I can't remember which year were the rapid ones, but it's another Cruise gem that's perfect for this event. Any of these dates I've mentioned, by the way, I blasted through my analysis pretty fast in order to put this up for breakfast time for everyone. So if I'm wrong, just post into the comments how I'm wrong or how you think I'm wrong. I don't know if I'll bother fact-checking you, but again, if you say anything in public, don't be afraid of being corrected. Go for it. So Bruce was brought out as a special guest for the last two songs. I thought that was a very nice touch. Finally, way after the end of the road is over, a guest is on stage, other than Yoshiki. So I thought that was a nice touch again with him opening, essentially. It would have been an insult had he not. I know people have some opinions about him doing Lick It Up and Rock and Roll All Night with them, but come on, Rock and Roll All Night, that's going to be the set closer pretty much. So it's nice that they kept him out there for that. Could they have done something else? Well, I haven't seen his set list yet, so would it have made sense? Get him up there. He's there. That's what counts. It's the gesture that is more important, in my way of thinking. Now, I'm sure, again, people are going to have different thoughts on that. We're all right, we're all wrong, whatever. Just remember how much Kiss music has been played this weekend. There's a lot, especially with the addition of the Kiss Army Spain, Kiss Cancer Goodbye, pre-party, and those three sets. It's an absolutely incredible amount of Kiss overload. And, not only that, on this stage setting. They've put thought into this. When the first pictures of it came out yesterday, I was like, Hot in the Shade logo, oh, for God's sakes. And then I just wryly smiled. I'm like, awesome, that's a Kiss nerd thing that some will get. The inflatables behind it, that just, again, that riffed off MTV Unplugged and what had been done in 1996. So again, I make these historical connections in my mind's eye, rightly or wrongly. Again, doesn't matter. And I just see a little bit of effort going into it, using things that are in the warehouse that are available in order to provide an awesome setting for those who are there, and also an awesome setting for those who are watching on screens to enjoy. So lighting really was utilized thoughtfully and well. Again, I couldn't see the detail of it from the stream. And I'm not criticizing that. That's just the reality of the stream. But it looked fantastic. But they'd also done a great job in 2014 in the Vegas residency when I was there. So there's no real surprise that they know how to do a show safely in a theater without doing fire. Paul's voice. That's been the elephant in the room for far too long. I thought... was he doing tape? Was he singing? I don't really frickin' care. Whatever he was doing serviceably last night. The band sounded fine. Gene sounded fine. I was a little worried from the acoustic set on the lawn the previous day. And again, hearing it through digital audio streamed with compression and low bit rates, again, only gives you an idea of it, and you don't get what you get when you're there with air surrounding you and the atmosphere and the crowd and the real sound. So different things. Again, I thought it was serviceable. I thought it certainly sounded better than The Garden and some of those later end of the road shows that I saw, which were pretty dire. I want to give a huge shout out to Karen for holding up that camera for the Podcast Rock City live stream, and Joe, obviously, and also congratulations to you guys on your marriage in Vegas. That's just so cool. One thing I want to say about Podcast Rock City is their streams. They've been doing hit and run live streams throughout the weekend, and that's how number one podcasts in the universe behave. They talk the talk and walk the walk. They provide the coverage. So here's a huge round of applause and gratitude to Podcast Rock City for their coverage. You've really let many of us across the world who aren't there live vicariously through your experiences. And I know firsthand how much it sucks to do that, to hold up the camera. I had a camera on I think it was a 6 or 8 foot monopod for the Kruise sail away on Kiss Cruise 8. And even with it tucked into my boot or into my cargo shorts, yeah, I wear cargo shorts, it got heavy, and I just gave up at the end, which I just let it drop. I was like, screw this. I've also tried to stream shows before, Vancouver at the beginning of the road, and I gave up. Holding the camera up like this, or even just keeping a tripod going, is unpleasant. Very unpleasant. So thank you very much, especially for the 83 minutes that you streamed the live show last night. So that's it. That's my thoughts on the set. What do you think of those rarer or lesser cuts that were provided last night? What do you think about the set order? What do you think about the performance itself? I'm less interested by what you would swap out, because again, we love Kiss. We love Kiss music, and at any opportunity that you get to hear Kiss in whatever formation it now takes, and they decide, or Gene Simmons band, or any Bruce Kulick band, enjoy the music. Savor that you're able to hear it live, or perhaps even go in person. And I've said it on the show, about going to the Farewell Frelly show that Jonathan's San Francisco Destroyer band put on with some other notable musicians from the local scene. Go to the bars and hear your favorite tribute band or cover band who does Kiss songs, and just enjoy the music. Life's too damn short. So there we are. Let me know your opinions in the comments. Have a great rest of the day.